And now, making their way into the arena, hailing from the great pro wrestling state of Massachusetts, they are the hosts of the Top of the Cage podcast. Here are Bill and Juice.
And thank you again, Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, always making us sound so good. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the super producer. I am Bill, joined always by my tag team partner, my wrestling confidant. He is the future booking genius and the prince of pro wrestling podcasts. He is Justin Juice Cannon. Boom, baby.
So before we do a little intro for our interview that we had today, I just wanted to bring something up real quick about the Crown Jewel press conference. Not Crown Jewel itself, something that happened in the press conference. As we know, Roman Reigns had a fun match against Logan Paul during the press conference. Something happened. The crowd started doing "We Want Sammy" chants. And obviously that was a fun little moment. People were like, oh, love Sammy. But I think it's more, it's being overlooked how big of a moment it is. Remember, this press conference was in front of the Saudi crowd. And I know that public opinion is often different from, a government. But the Saudi government, Sammy's not allowed there. And the Saudi government has a problem with the Iran people and the Syrian people. And even though a bunch of the public that did this chant probably are, maybe they're not supportive of the government, I'm sure maybe some of them are, and they just forgot, and they just, they were just wrestling fans. I know it's silly to say something like just "We Want Sammy" chants is a big like moment that for our people, but I think it is. I think it was really cool to see, and I think I don't know, it's kind of touching that wrestling can transcend political issues like that, and you just forget what country you're living in. You forget your government and who you're supposed to hate, and you just live in the moment and do something like that. It was really touching. And I know we usually don't get political, and I don't want to get too caught up in this or drag it out. I just really wanted to say it on the podcast at least once and bring it up because I think it's important. And yeah, I think it needed attention. And I just wanted to state that. Nah, I won't drag out anymore.
Hell yeah. Well, our guest tonight is the Owen Brody, who I said to him off air, Juice, man had a little heat with me before. I was not a big Owen Brody fan, and that's just more of the character of Owen Brody, not the actual person behind the character. But he's been growing on me a little bit. We talked a little bit again off air of him getting some good crowd reactions recently, but he is a man who has been in this game for quite a long time. You'll hear it in the interview. I asked him when he gets started. So if you're like me and have been trying to find online when Owen Brody's first match was, you also might not know what name he was under, which also was kind of a funny story too. And we will not hold you back from this interview with Owen any longer. So ladies and gentlemen, the Owen Brody.
Hello, everybody. I am Juice of Top of the Cage podcast, joined by my loyal co-host and partner in crime, tag team partner, Big Moves Bill. And we have a special guest with us tonight. Interview the Obro himself, Owen Brody. Yeah, he just pointed to himself. Wait for you. How you doing, man? How you doing tonight? How was your day?
My day's pretty good. I'm doing all right. A little under the weather. I'm coming off of being sick. I was sick going into wrestling this weekend. So I was like, I kept, taking tests because that's what we do now. And negative. So I'm like, all right, that's good. But then I'm like, man, I gotta go wrestle and run around the ring and try to breathe. And it worked out okay. I didn't die.
That's always good to hear. So was it Let's Wrestle you were at?
It was Let's Wrestle. We were way up in Brewer, Maine at an indoor yard sale, which is always an interesting venue. And it was me and B.A. Tatum, the Syndicate, against Mortar and Adam Booker. A lot of fun.
So Let's Wrestle is I definitely know the promotion, but I've actually never been to a show, and I actually haven't even got to like I've seen a couple matches on YouTube and such, but really I haven't seen like a whole show either online or in person. I don't think they stream or anything. But what can you say about that promotion? What separates it from others?
Let's Wrestle was my home for a long time before the pandemic. We had a lot of fun. That's pretty much where we were able to do the whole Syndicate thing. So me and Murdoch and B.A. Tatum. It's funny because we were talking with Mortar, at the show, and Mortar was like, "Wow, you guys are like actually real friends. Like it's not like just a gimmick." And we've always been really close. And Let's Wrestle gave us the ability to team together and have a lot of fun. I've had some of my most favorite matches up there. We used to run the American Legion in Orono, and that building was awesome. The fans there were awesome. But it was basically Let's Wrestle, if you're not super familiar, is like the sister promotion to Limitless Wrestling. So like if Randy wants to get like a good look at you, you go to Let's Wrestle and you kind of work your way up to being on Limitless. I was kind of a weird, me and BA both were kind of an anomaly in that case, where we had worked Limitless like previously. And then when Let's Wrestle came around, we worked a lot of kind of the newer guys that were coming up, and because we could take care of the kids, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, we had a blast. We had a really good feud with MSP, like all the trio of the Main State Posse, before they dropped they just went with the initials, I guess now. We had a street fight with them. That's on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen that one, but that's worth checking out. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've actually interviewed MSP before. They're
great.
Both Aiden and oh God, why am I Danger Kid? Thank you.
Danger Kid.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like such a unique name. We literally praise them for having such great names, but both of those guys are great. Actually, I think I do remember that match when we were like just like watching film for them. That like when you said that, something just rang in my ear that was familiar, but nonetheless, I'm sure that was a great match. Everybody involved, they're all great talents. Love watching everybody there. And we did mention the Syndicate a little bit before. Of course, like you said, Let's Wrestle gave you guys the ability to kind of grow the group itself. But how did the faction itself start out?
So it basically, we essentially formed in Let's Wrestle, but it was basically, the name of it was Murdoch's name. He had said that he always wanted to have a group called the Syndicate. So that was kind of our goal, was to be that group. And technically we actually started in like this really small company called PWS, which I cannot remember what the S stands for now. It wasn't Pro Wrestling Syndicate, because that was like a different thing. But we started in PWS, and that was kind of like an outlaw kind of group, I guess. We were just trying, like, basically this guy came to me and said, "I want to start this wrestling company. I want to build it all around you." And I'm like, okay, well, that's bullshit. I know that. And so then like I went to a show, and he really didn't run things. So like Murdoch ended up running things, and I was helping him. And then we said, hey, let's build this group together. And so the group kind of formatted, like we formatted, is that a word? We formed there. And then Let's Wrestle is when we really got our run. We kind of we came in hot and heavy right there with the three of us, had some trios matches, made some fun Rumble appearances. Murdoch is a good Rumble guy because he's big. So there's always fun stuff we can do with him in Rumbles. But yeah, that's really where, the Syndicate, we got our feet wet as a group. And that's kind of, we looked forward every month going up there to not only just wrestle, but like hang out too. We get to have a lot of fun, a lot of good road stories for those days.
Is there any that you're willing to share with us right now? One of the better ones?
I mean, so we went, let's see. Okay, so there's a fun one involving Masha Slamovich. One of the first times that she went up there, she rode up with us. She had found us on Facebook, I believe. It was either Facebook or Twitter, and messaged us and said, "Hey, can you guys pick me up?" Because my profile said I was from Jersey, but I'm not really from Jersey. So she thought that I would be like kind of near her, and I'm like, no, I'm in like the sticks of Vermont, bro. Like, I'm not gonna make that. But B.A. Tatum was gonna actually be able to pick her up, so he picked her up. We all went to the show, and afterwards, our tradition is we go to Buffalo Wild Wings, and I said to her, I said, don't speak any English, only speak Russian. So the waitress like asked us, what we wanted. And we were super rude. We made the guys go first, so that we finally got to Masha and she could try to do it in Russian. And then she was just pointing to stuff and messing with the waitress. It was so funny. And we, I don't remember if it was that time or before that, where we had gotten, this is the one waitress that we always look for up there because she always gives us a really good deal on ice cream, I'll say. So I remember Masha was like pointing to like the ice cream and stuff. And she was pointing to her like, that's me, and that led to either BA said something or the waitress said something where they thought it was her birthday. So we're like, yeah, just don't sing to her. She doesn't like that. But that's let's see, that was a fun one. I mean, we just were hilarious. It's but a lot of times the really funny stuff, when you tell it back, you're like, you had to be there. But we had some good times. I can't go too far into some of the crazy stuff, but not without Murdoch and BA here.
Fair enough. I definitely have my fair share of stories that are like that too. But it's awesome to see that though, because like you were saying that Mortar had mentioned to you at that back of the show that it's very interesting that although I feel like with a lot of like the tag teams you see around here, they're definitely friends outside of the wrestling ring. But it's really cool to see that. I know there was a post I saw recently of you guys posted up somewhere, so that's really cool to see.
Oh yeah, that was probably from Screamfest.
That's what it was. Yep, that's what it was.
I put the Friends font and wrote Syndicate with like the little dots. Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Most of what we do is like inside jokes with us too, so it pops me, but it's funny.
We've talked about the Syndicate multiple times already. Faction 3, you're in trios matches or 6-man tag matches. 6-man tag matches and factions nowadays, well, always, but especially right now, is very popular and a staple for so many companies. Why do you think that is? Why do you think just factions and just trios are just so popular, even more than tag teams or individuals?
I mean, me personally, like with the Syndicate, I think trios matches worked great for us for a couple of reasons. One, it allowed us to kind of do some fun character work, because we have 2 people on the outside. We have to come up with creative spots. And it also helped out too, because like a guy like Murdoch doesn't have as much experience as like me and B.A. Tatum. He's pretty inexperienced compared to us for sure. So it was good to be able to have a match where as a trio, we can have Murdoch do big things and he looks like he's doing a lot, but he's not doing a lot because he's coming in and doing something. And we can kind of post that up and get him in the right position. It's easy. I think trios matches are exciting as well, especially if you get, 6 guys that are really, really good. You can have an exciting trios match. It's a good match to just kind of, it's forgivable for the ref to like lose control and things kind of go awry because the ref has to keep track of 6 people. So it can be that exciting, moving, everybody's kind of around and there's a big car crash kind of thing happening. But then on the flip side of it, it's good to be able to tell a story. You can really, like, we actually used the formation of the Syndicate. So we did actually have 4 members originally, but when we brought BA in, we used a 6-man match to do it. Because it was the only way it would have ever worked. And that was like, if you want to hear the whole thing, I could tell you.
We got time.
All right. So we did this thing. I'm very much into detail when it comes to stories, right? So it was me, Murdoch, and this guy Gene was in our group originally. So Murdoch and Gene, I think, had done a tag match, and I run out. And oh no, actually, I take that back. I did a match. Afterwards, Murdoch jumped in. We're beating down the kid. Boom, 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 boom. Second guy comes in to make the save, gets over on us a little bit, but we start getting back over on him. Gene comes out, and now it's 3-on-2. We're beating him up, beating him up. Well, then BA comes out, and we all bail out of the ring because BA is a big dude. And, you know, we cut this promo. We say, okay, you know, next show, we're going to have a match. And we get to the 6-man match. So it's me, Gene, Murdoch, and we're going against Flash Nick McKenna, Blade Bandit, and BA Tatum. And anytime I made it a point that I was never in the ring when someone was standing. I was only tagged in when someone was down, and I would kick them and kick them and kick them. And when they worked up to their feet, I tagged out. So then that way, you know, it kind of makes me look shitty, right? Like I'm a coward in that case. But anytime BA Tatum got tagged in, we would all bail out of the ring. So then what would happen is the other person, so like as an example, if Blade Bandit tagged BA gets in the ring, we bail out, we're not coming in. The ref's trying to count us. We're having one slide in, slide back out. Well, Flash Nick McKenna goes, I'm sick of this, and tags BA Tatum, and then comes in the ring. Well, then we start over. You know, now we're willing to fight. So the whole buildup of the whole match was Blade Bandit finally getting over on me, and I can't make the tag. Well, then BA finally gets the tag, and I'm in the ring. There's no one else around for me to tag, and I'm just looking at him. And I'm like shaking in my boots. I drop to my knees. I put my hands up and I go, no, 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 no. And the crowd is so loud that I literally looked at BA and I said, dude, this is fucking awesome. Just like that, with that amount of volume. And I was like, this is cool. So BA's loading up his fist, and then he just turns around and punches the two guys that he teamed with, and then joins us, because I always hated when people would join another group after they fought those guys, you know, like Big Swerve, the guys I just fought, now I'm gonna join them. It's like, no, like do it like that, where we're like, oh, we're scared of him, but then the Big Swerve is, oh no, he's gonna mess up those other guys. We're just dragging out the inevitable.
That's like actually among the more unique ways I've heard it. Like I know we've seen it in the past, like Cody Rhodes beating himself for a tag team championship before, but like that's really cool. Actually, I feel like that would have been a cool like trios match to have to at least have witnessed as a crowd, especially if the crowd was hot for it too.
Oh, the crowd was so hot for it. They hated us there. But it was good heat, you know, like after the show, they'd be like, oh, you guys are awesome, you know, but they gave us like good heat in that building. It was so much fun. I loved that time.
So I know you actually mentioned that your partners are great Rumble guys, but you yourself are actually a great Rumble guy too. Recently, the winner of the APW Clipper City Rumble. How did it feel winning that?
It felt pretty good, you know. It was cool. I made the joke to the other guys of the Syndicate, and I said, yeah, no one was there when I won the big one, guys. No one was there. So, you know, just kind of giving them some shit for not going to the show, which is, I mean, they live far away, so it's fine. But the Rumble itself, it was a lot of fun. I mean, so like a personal kind of thing for me that I didn't get to do in this Rumble, like winning it was obviously great. Like, don't get me wrong. But I've always wanted to be like that Iron Man guy who's in there for like 35, 40 minutes, just like trying to win, and like either gets it or doesn't get it at the end, you know. But I just always wanted to like have a Rumble where I put a lot of time in. And this one, I think I came in at like number 22, I think. So I was in there for a good amount of time, but not the Iron Man that I want to be someday. Were either of you guys at the show?
We were actually both at the show.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. That's awesome. Did you guys enjoy the Rumble as a whole?
Yeah, no, the whole show was great, and the Rumble was really fun. We didn't really, I'll be honest, I didn't really see you winning. I knew you were gonna make it pretty far, but you lost earlier tonight, so like I didn't see you like I don't know. I thought maybe like, oh, he's tired. He had a match. He's gonna lose. He's gonna make the final 4 or 5 and get eliminated. Like I thought you'd be in the final 4, but then I did
Yeah.
not see you come winning. I was like, holy shit! It was
Hey,
a good surprise.
I saw a little video on Facebook, and Monty was all mad of how I won, and said I took a shortcut or whatever. Who knows? That's in the eye of the beholder, I guess. But and Monty, if you're listening to this, like when it comes down to it, it's all a matter of you do what you got to do to win. And I was well within the rules. There's nothing that says that I can't, mule kick a guy, and he's got me choked. He's choking me out around the on the ring apron. And it's like, okay, everything's fading. I got one choice or two choices really. I can like give in to what my body's doing and pass out and probably fall off the apron, or I can just take that last ditch effort, lift my leg and hope it lands, and then he goes and I win. So that's what I had to do. But it was a good experience for him as well, being a newer guy into the scene.
Yeah, the crowd was really getting behind him the whole entire show too. Like it felt like the whole second half, like he was one of the big MVPs of it.
Yeah, I mean they do like him a lot, but I mean the crowd can love you all day, but it's if you can make it happen and win at the end of the day is what really, really matters. And Monty will learn that soon. I mean, he's new to the game. He's coming up, and he will get there. I have faith in him. He's a good talent.
I mean, do you think he holds a grudge? Do you think he's gonna be coming for you?
Oh, he already issued the challenge. I've just been so busy that I haven't gotten a chance to respond, and I'm doing things like this with you guys and wrestling other shows. And, so, I'll respond, and I'll see him on the 19th of this month. We'll be there. You guys going to be there on the 19th?
I unfortunately will not be in the state on the 19th, but I'll be there in spirit. That's for sure.
All right. I'll accept that.
I'm going to try to go. I think I can make it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he issued the challenge. I mean, and I'm going to be there. So we'll see what happens.
So Juice alluded to it earlier too, that you had wrestled a little bit earlier in the night before that. By the way, you still owe us a drink.
That's Scotty Slade.
But what's it like wrestling 2 matches in one night, especially when the second match is a Rumble?
When the second match is a Rumble, it's a little. So it's easier in a couple different ways, right? So because a few months ago, I wrestled twice in one night for APW. They did a tournament for the New England Championship. So that was a little bit different because you have a match, and then you're coming off of that match. And while you're coming off of that match, you want to watch the other guy's match, or before your match, you want to watch the other guy's match so that you kind of know what to expect, and if there's, if they have damage from that first match, like their legs worn down or their arms worn down, like you want to know that, right? Going into the match with them. So you got to pay attention. While with a Rumble, it's more of like a mental preparation. So I get done with Scotty Slade. I lost, like, okay, I have a few minutes. I need to regroup. I need to go get some fresh air. I need to scream at the stars for a minute. And then now I have to mentally prepare to just be on the defensive and know that there's potentially 10, 15 other guys around me, whoever, however many there could be when I get in my number. And, knowing that I'm just going to have to be super sharp. So I can't let the loss like carry on into that, because if it does, then that's going to affect my Rumble performance. I'm not going to be as sharp as I need to be. And, I have a strategy in Rumbles, and it works okay most of the time. It worked really well that night. So, making sure that strategy is sound and I'm tuned into it, and I'm not going to falter from that and let my emotions from the loss earlier take control. If you notice, when Scotty Slade came in there, I didn't go crazy after him, because that's how bad things happen. Whenever you see that anywhere else, I've learned, you see the guy going after the guy who beat him earlier in the night and who ends up on the floor first,
I think that's a really good point, actually, because that's like actually like just to take it outside, like that's like a very common spot. I feel like with Rumbles, like I feel like I specifically remember like a Kevin Owens, Dean Ambrose before like Wrestle or before Royal Rumble like 2017 or 2018, where like they literally just beat each other up the second they both got in the ring and they both just got like thrown out relatively quickly. But very good point. Kayfabe wise, like very good point. You know, you don't want to do that. You've learned wily veteran move right there. That's for sure.
That's right.
And if you don't mind me asking, actually, I've been trying to look it up and I can't find the exact date of when you started wrestling. I wanted to know how long you're in the industry for.
So I make the joke all the time that I've been around forever, but no one, like, I must not be that good because no one remembers me. So I started training in 2004. It was mid 2004 when I started training. And it was like I was kind of in and out at first a little bit. Life happened. But I would say like consistently, I've been wrestling since 2008 and 9-ish when I probably started getting real consistent. But I had a terrible name when I first started. So that's why no one knows me, because I had a terrible name and I didn't know how to get booked. Right. So I just kind of got like brought along to shows with other people. And they were like, yeah, come on. And like, I live further away from like the wrestling hotbed of New England than everybody else. So it's just me driving to most of these shows, most of the way. So I'd get like, dragged to shows like, hey, just come to this one, I'd help out. And then they'd be like, oh yeah, we need this guy called off. We need somebody to, do a job or whatever. And there I go. But I had this awful name, which we will not repeat on the show. we can if you want, but it was terrible. And when I real life, like I said, happened, my now wife got pregnant with my now 10-year-old kid. And so I moved to Maine to be with her. So I was out of wrestling for 7 or 8 months. And then Murdoch, my buddy from the Syndicate, was like, hey, come to this show. This guy trains people. So he introduced me to Larry Huntley. I don't know if you're familiar with Larry Huntley at all. He introduced me to Larry Huntley, and Larry Huntley was like, yeah, I do some training like before shows, come to this show, blah, blah, blah. So I go to the show, I do a couple things in the ring, and he's like, oh, okay, you bring your gear? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right. He's like, you're wrestling me. What's your wrestling name? And I'm like, I don't want that old name. I got to come up with something. So during the whole pregnancy thing, right, we did one of those cheesy, like at home gender tests, and it said it was going to be a boy. So we were like, cool. We're throwing boy names around. I'm like, man, Owen Brody would be such a cool, like, first and middle name. That would be awesome. And then we found out we were having a girl. And I was like, all right, like, that's cool too. But like, Owen Brody, whatever, that would have been awesome. And so when he said, what's your wrestling name? I was like, brother, I'm the Bro Owen Brody. And that was it. That was it. So that was 2011. So I've been Owen Brody for like 11 years, pretty much.
What was the bad name? We're gonna ask it.
It was so funny, right? Because me and I have a younger brother. He's a couple years younger than me, and we've always been like uber competitive about the stupidest shit, right? And I think that's kind of true with most siblings. So his screen name on like every video game system known to man was always Cody Blaze, which like is cool for like a video game guy. Well, they pull me in the office and they're like, hey, we got an idea for a name for you. We're going to bring you in. What about, oh man, it's got to be something Blaze. Cause like you got your fast, like, yeah, Blaze, like something. And then I'm like, oh, my brother's screen name is Cody Blaze. And they're like, yeah, Cody Blaze. I'm like, I can't be Cody Blaze. So I was Cody Blaze for like 45 seconds. And then Maverick Wild said, actually, I've always been partial to the name Cameron. So it was Cameron Blaze, which got even worse, to be honest. But yeah, that was the name. And I wasn't going to be saddled with that one any longer.
So I guess this can be like a lesson to the younger wrestlers out there. So what would you say to somebody that is like in a gimmick right now or has a name right now that they might not like, and like just kind of what you can do as a wrestler to rebuild yourself?
So yeah, I mean, like that was a different time too, because the promotion that I was working for was based out of the school that I was at the time. So they were like, we're going to bring you in as this. So I didn't get to really pick my gimmick. So if there's anybody out there who didn't get to pick their gimmick, make like the best advice I can give you is make the most out of it, because even the guys on like TV that have shitty gimmicks, like you can tell when they don't like the gimmick because it doesn't last, and neither do they. They end up, getting canned essentially, right? So I would say, like, if you have a gimmick that you don't like, make the most out of it and try to pull pieces from it that you can translate into something that you do like. So if you are heel and you don't like your heel persona, get out there, get with the crowd. If the crowd starts to get behind you and they have the option to turn you babyface, you've done a lot of work at that point, right? So you've done a lot of work to get that crowd to kind of like you and start to turn that way, and that your opponent has helped with that too, and the people around you have helped with that too. So now you have a little bit of wiggle room when you make that transition from heel to babyface, right? So you want to still be that character, but now you can take the things that you like and turn it into a babyface way, and maybe, manipulate that character to something you like enjoy a little bit more doing that character. So that's the best thing I would say. I mean, I honestly, I don't run into, I can't think of anybody who's been, quote unquote, saddled with a gimmick that's like, okay, you're this person. I have had people who are like, I've had people in the past who want to do a certain gimmick. So they'll go to like a show where they've either A, never been, or B, it's, they've been, but it's far enough away from their home promotion to where they can kind of be a little loosey goosey and try new things. And they've done completely different gimmicks, which is fun. Like Mortar, for example, I would say I've seen Mortar do a lot of different gimmicks just to kind of try things out, and just have fun. And I think some of that stuff has translated into what he does as far as his move set, but because he's Mortar, now everything's more intense. So the stuff that he would do in other characters, would be a little bit more, I don't want to say happy-go-lucky, but like a little bit more high energy. While with now, it's like it's the same movement, but it's like more intense and it's more purposeful. If that makes sense.
Yeah, actually, I think that's like I think that's really insightful. I mean, I myself am not a wrestler and probably will never end up being a wrestler, but I think that sounds like absolutely great sound advice. Like it seems like the world of wrestling today, like if it doesn't work, like it seems like there always is like an option B, but kind of like what you said, like there's so many guys on TV right now. Like I can think of at least like 3 or 4 guys right now where it's just like great wrestler, kind of crappy gimmick.
Yeah.
But it seems like I can think of one like kind of like a Chad Gable, for instance, when he got like booked with Shorty G, like that sucked, honestly. Shorty G sucked.
That's like perfect example.
But now he's back to being Chad Gable with the Alpha Academy, and they're killing it right now. Like I think they're definitely 2 of the best in WWE right now, him and Otis. So I think, and even just kind of like what you were saying too, it's a testament to all the young wrestlers out there that kind of don't be afraid to change yourself. I feel like that's just a testament to life too. Something's not going right, don't be afraid to try something different.
Exactly. And always listen to the people around you too, because I know, like, I'll watch a match and I'll say like, oh, I would want you to do this a little differently, and just give them that little push to like just try that next time. And some people go, hey, and they don't listen, or it's too far out of their comfort zone. But then there's times where they've tried it and it's like, hey, look at that, Owen Brody knows a thing or two about a thing or two, and it works out.
So would you say that, like, since you are somebody that's well over 10 years of wrestling experience at this point, that like you have people either coming to you or you find yourself giving out advice to younger wrestlers out there?
Yeah, I mean, it's when I see the guys like Monty, right, and like Kid V and like Johnny Pierce, that generation of people that are just coming in. I think of like, I go back to myself where it was like really tough for me to go to someone that I didn't know, or people that I thought was like, oh, they're way better than me. They're not gonna want to like talk to me or watch my match. I was very reserved, and so I try not to like let people be reserved, because when I started to ask questions more and started to like say, hey, can you watch my match? I started learning a lot more and things were getting a lot better. but it took time because I didn't seek it out like I should have. So I kind of think of that, and I go, to like a Johnny Pierce, and I go, hey man, like call your match to me, like tell me what you're gonna do, like what do you guys got planned so far? And he'll talk to me about it, and or same with Kid V. And now it's at the point where they'll grab me and they'll go, hey, like this is what we're thinking of doing this. Or like now, like in some locker rooms, I'm the guy where they're like, okay, we want to do this. How do we get there? And then I can kind of put the pieces together to help them get to where they want to be, or they'll be telling me their finish or telling me something, and I'll say, hey, what if we try this? And I completely change it on them. I have some people who will literally, they'll know because I'll overhear them calling the match, and I'll go over and be like, hey man. And then they'll just be like, oh no, he's going to change it. He's going to want to change it. But then, I'll just say respectfully, like, try this. And if you don't want to, that's okay. But then if they say they're going to do it, like, then I make it a point to watch the match and let them know, like, hey, that looked good. Or like, hey, the crowd reacted really well to that. Or, hey, my idea was shit. So, they know that it's not just me giving out ideas and not following up with them.
All right, Owen. Well, with the last few minutes of our show here, we have one final question that we always ask our guests. And it's a pretty generic one, we'll be honest. It's one that I'm sure you've probably been asked quite a few times in your life. But we like to ask our guests what their dream matches of all time. It can be any wrestler from any era, dead or alive, any match stipulation you want to. It's your dream match. You choose the place, the time, and what it is, and we'd love to hear it.
So me versus anybody in the entire world, dead or alive.
Dead or alive, any type of match to any place, you name it.
Man, I would honestly, this may be kind of boring, but I would just want a singles match against Bret Hart and just do like a 30-minute technical classic. Like it would just be, I would learn so much. It would be so much fun, I think. And Bret Hart's always been one that I've looked up to, and yeah, that would definitely be it for sure.
That's not boring. If you said Shawn Michaels, it would have been boring. We get 9,000 Shawn Michaels.
I'm sure.
So I think that's only probably I think one other person might have said Bret Hart, but you didn't say Shawn Michaels, so that's a fine answer.
Yeah, man, a big technical match with Bret Hart is just, he's so good, like he's just so good, and I just would love to be in there with him.
Yeah, opinions on him as a person, you can't deny that he's one of the best in the ring. Now, there's a part 2 to this that you qualified. Someone that is active, someone that's not retired, a current wrestler. And same rules, no rules, really. Any place, time, stipulation, whatever you want to say.
So a current roster member.
And they can be an indie person you haven't teamed up with or messed up with either.
Oh, okay. Man, yeah, that's tough because there's a lot of them. That's what's tough about it. Like, I think it would be, I think it would be a lot of fun to go, like, to have a match with a guy like Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli. Like, I think that would be a lot of fun. Chad Gable's another one that I think would just be a lot of fun too, that I think, like, it would be cool to be like, to have a match with him on TV. Like, that would just be awesome, I think. Yeah, I mean, Seth Rollins would be another one that would be incredible to work with. Yeah, it's not as easy as like the dead or alive, non-active. Like, that's easy. It's either Bret Hart or Macho Man Randy Savage. But like Bret, I just feel like I'd have a much more fun match with him. But yeah, current, yeah, there's a lot of them. I think Seth Rollins though would probably be like Seth Rollins, and again, just a straight up like just big 30-minute epic battle would be a lot of fun.
I agree. I think any of those people you named actually all would be fun matches. I'm very surprised we don't get a lot more Claudio than
oh really?
Huh. Yeah, we've gotten
no
Seth
one's ever said
times.
Seth either.
Really? No, we've
really
gotten Seth before.
No, I don't think maybe like when I didn't think as maybe as a list, but I don't think like anyone's like said it. Like I think they're like brainstorming in their head.
Yeah.
Usually when they like finalize on one, it's never Seth. And I honestly can't remember anyone's even using it on the list. I know Chad Gable and Cesaro definitely know.
Yeah, Cesaro would definitely be a lot of fun because I think about like how strong he is and like the different things you can kind of get into with his strength and counters that he could use, and like it would just be a good time.
I completely agree with that. Well, I know we said with the last few minutes here, but now we are officially in the last few minutes here. And with the last few minutes, we like to let the guests plug and promote anything they have going on, be it, appearances coming up, social media, merchandise, anything like that. So with that, Owen, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, first, you guys can find me on Twitter at the Owen Brody. I do have an Instagram too, which is the Madness of Obro. I don't use that as much as I should. I am wrestling APW on the 19th of this month. The 26th of this month, I'm wrestling for North Atlantic Wrestling Association. I just saw the poster, and there's like, it's a benefit for something. There's some sort of, it might be Toys for Tots. I can't remember now. It's drawing a blank, but be on the lookout for that because that's like a benefit kind of show, which I like doing a lot of those. Yeah, merch and stuff. Like I had a couple online stores and then I've kind of just like gone away from that. I make my own t-shirts, which is kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. So I probably will go back to the online stores. But if you see me at a show and you buy a shirt from me, I made it here in this very room that I'm in. So yeah. And then December 3rd, I will be in ETWA, which is way up north in Vermont. They're a lot of fun. Look them up on YouTube. They're a lot of fun. And if you guys want, it's funny because I've done some of these podcasts and it usually gets brought up. So I'm going to bring it up this time just because it's so fun and so stupid. Way back in the pandemic, like literally where they were like, you can only have 8 people in a room at once, man. Like any more than that, and the police are going to shut you down. Way back in that time, we did a little thing called Damn That's Wrestling. And it's on YouTube. It's like, it takes about 2 hours to go through the whole thing, but it's me, B.A. Tatum, Murdoch, and Blade Bandit. And we all play different characters. I think we each play like 3 or 4 different characters with no acknowledgement that I am this person and that person. So it's just over the top, cheesy fun. I wrote and recorded the whole thing. Everything that you see on there too, editing, filming, commentary, all of it was done with an iPhone and an iPad, other than the headset that I used for commentary, which was literally just like a gaming headset. It worked out great. But yeah, that's a lot of fun if you want to just check out something that's so stupid and cheesy and over the top. But the stories are pretty good. The storylines are good. Wrestling matches, not so much because we were there for like 14 hours. So you could tell where we filmed some of the later matches because they're not that good. But that one's a lot of fun. So check that out, guys.
We'll have to check it out and have you on again to make sure we can definitely get to that.
That's right.
All right, Owen. Well, we want to again say thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was an absolute pleasure, and hope you have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, welcome back, guys. It's just Juice and Bill back at it again. Just a dynamic duo, no Obro to close out, but we had a fun time talking to him. Great wrestler, one of the best heels in New England, in my opinion. He's growing on Bill, but I've always been in the corner of the Obro. We had a fun time talking to him. Learned a lot. I didn't realize that he wasn't always the Obro. I didn't realize Cody Blaze existed. What a name.
Technically not even his name too, but that was a good one.
Yeah, Cameron Blaze.
Cameron Blaze. Yes, Cameron Blaze. Yeah, it sounds like the Syndicate are also good friends outside of the ring too, and you can see it on their social media posts and stuff too. And I love that. I love me some good tag team wrestling, good trios wrestling, and love hearing of tag team people and just people in wrestling loving each other. I think we started the show that way, that everybody in wrestling should just have love for one another and just love wrestling. And Owen Brody is a defining part of that sentiment. I mean, as we said, he's been around for a very long time, and he's talked about giving it back to the kids, having advice, watching matches, giving feedback. And I think that's all wrestling is really about, making sure the next generation, the people after you, are as best as they can be. So I definitely want to thank Owen for his time. And we didn't mention it during the podcast itself, but make sure you're checking the man out on Twitch. He's really funny. and we didn't ask if he's a good gamer or not, but I would assume he probably is.
Yeah, I hope he is. If he's twitching, if he's streaming himself. I mean, I suck at video games, so that's a big reason why I don't have a Twitch, because I'm just terrible. But
Yeah. When I did my
yeah.
little stint of streaming, I was I marketed myself as not very good. So
That's fair. That's fault. I wouldn't even stream myself. I don't want to see people. It's far enough that my friends have to see how bad I am at video games. I don't need more people to see it. Yeah, but definitely check that out. Check out his matches on YouTube. Go to APW show. When he's at Limitless. Limitless is on IWTV. Even if you're not in New England, you can watch it. Let's Wrestle. I don't know if Let's Wrestle streams, but I don't think it does. But if it does, and I'm wrong, watch that. Definitely look into it in a future episode, and I'll say if it does stream. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Yeah, Owen Brody. He's the man. Look him up. Follow him.
agreed. And of course, we are interacting with him and many other wrestlers in the world of social media every day of the week. And Juice, where can the people find us on social media?
On the Twitter. Capital T, capital O, capital T, capital C, _, capital P, lowercase o, lowercase d. And no, we're not paying that money for that check mark. Instagram, TOTC _POD, all lowercase.
Yes, and as we come crashing down to the mat on this episode of Top of the Cage, we want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And if you are listening to us on Apple or Spotify and you do not leave us a 5-star review, that means that specifically you, that person not leaving us that 5-star review, will not get 5-star content, and that is just a fact.
Fact.
And again, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.